What's going on, YouTube? We have finally reached campaign promise time, baby. And not a whole lot going on today in the news and anything, honestly. It's just rehashing some stuff over the weekend. Hitting Kamala's rally and Trump's hitting his rallies. Trump released some shit on Twitter today, on X, where he's had his 20-point plan of things he's committing to do, whatever. And I mean, Kamala just came out. We'll get into it a little bit later, but no tax on tips. They're both riding with this as one of their main points. I never really thought about it, but it seems like a generally good thing. Whatever. I'm anti-taxes in general. If we're talking overall, lower the taxes, not completely zero taxes, but less than we have now would be nice. But we've hit the season of politicians promising to do shit and then they pretty much never do. We'll see. That my main thing is I was trying to think before I started. I was like, what's a percentage if I could just put it to it? And I'd like to know what you guys think. Of the things promised by politicians, what percentage of it actually gets done? Because I was thinking it's somewhere around 50-50, but I think after considering it a little bit, I'm thinking more maybe 60-40, 70-30 that they don't do almost anything they say. And then the things they end up doing are just net negatives, and I don't know, it's all around confusing. I think there's been studies, there's you can look at what bills pass and who they benefit basically, and who makes out on these deals, and it's something crazy where it's the majorities of the bills passed don't benefit citizens in the United States. It's almost like the controlling interest on all this shit is basically big lobbyists or corporations and stuff like that. So are you going to get what actually helps you, something that actually helps you as a regular person? Probably not. I'd say 60-40 is pretty fair to say. They're not going to do 60% of the shit they talk about. I don't care what side you're on, regardless. Neither of them are going to do everything they can do. Obviously, I'm not stupid. The government's set up in that way, so they can't just, a president doesn't have absolute authority to just push everything they want. But we'll see. Maybe the taxes on tips thing will get done because that's just a popular position on now both sides, I guess. Like I said, Trump came out with a 20-point plan. Most of it was literally just I'll fix the border, I'll fix the economy. Keep men out of women's sports was on there. So it's is that the most pressing issue? I don't know. That's up to you. Not to me, I don't think. Economy, immigration are probably top. I mean, job market rolls into the economy, housing market, stuff like that. Main stuff I'm worried about talking about on this channel and everything. I don't know. It gets a little complex. I would give Trump the immigration shit because he's done it once, so I don't think it would be very hard for him to run it back and basically take it back to what he was doing. I listened to an ad earlier today that was Kamala saying she's going to be tough on the border. And, I mean, that's the kind of shit that it just seems like would be a slap in the face. I don't know how much you're worried about the border necessarily. I'm not really necessarily worried about the border. Overall, if I was a politician, I'd be worried about it because, like I said, me personally, my job isn't something that's really, not worried about, an immigrant coming to take my engineering job. I would say most of the immigrants coming in, not that it can't happen, but, most of the immigrants that are coming over is, anybody who's working, a lower-paying job or, unskilled labor job, that is who's going to be impacted by that. And generally, the jobs market's going to get twisted by that. Big companies, basically, I think, they act like they might not like it, but big companies like this shit because it drives wages down, basically. So you get paid less. The more labor, it's a supply-demand problem. It's not that complex, I don't think. Very basic, high level of it is more people, they can pay them less. They can pay you less. So, in my mind, not good. That's not good. If you want to come to this country because you like the country and you want to make a better life for yourself, great. That's fantastic. I'm all about that shit. I mean, my family is Mexican, Hispanic, however you want to say it. I don't think it was my grandpa, but his dad or his family were the ones that came over. So it's multi-generations in, but it's if you want to come make a better life for you and your family, I'm all about that shit. It's chicken or the egg thing, whether I guess we fix the immigration process as far as like how do you get in versus close the border and basically like lock it up. So it's like, why would you? I mean, if you're gonna make it easy for me to get in, I can't blame them for just coming in illegally. Like, I'm not gonna ever blame people for that. Like, whatever, they're breaking the law. Yeah, if you fucking didn't have money for your family or some shit, you would probably break the law too. I think that's pretty simple. In my mind, it's close it down if you want to keep it under control, and then fix the immigration process and do it fucking quick. Let's quit fucking around. Government, they're incapable of that. So it's always going to be fucked up because it's a talking point. So we can move past our hopes of solving that problem. It's going to basically be fucked either way. But like I said, it's like all promises. Economic stuff, it's like, I'm going to fix it. They're both obviously going to say, I'm going to fix it. Kamala is the VP right now. She's not calling the shots. Joe Biden is. Generally, their prescriptions, their policy prescriptions are somewhere along the same line, I would assume. We don't have like an outlined Kamala Harris policy thing. But it's also like Trump's going to say, I'm going to fix the economy. I'll give him that if he deregulates and cuts taxes, it's going to spur economic growth because there's just basically more money in the system. Does that fix it long term? I don't know. We got to cut back on government spending. So if you basically keep spending the same amount of money but cut taxes, that means we just spend even more money. We go into a deeper deficit. You can get way in the weeds with that shit if you want, but I don't know. The economy was doing really well until COVID happened. Obviously, that's like black swan level shit. That's out of anyone's control. I'm not going to blame anybody. I think it's kind of stupid. People just blame the president here or there on like how the economy's doing. Yes, they have a part in it, but is it all them? No, it's not that simple. The United States economy is a fucking behemoth of a thing. It's not, you can't just pull a lever and fix the economy. Kamala Harris, though, I don't know how you think you're going to fix the economy. I mean, if anything, like if you keep it on like the dumbest level, like I said, I don't think it's the president's fault. It's definitely not the VP's fault, whatever, but you did just supervise basically the highest inflation we've seen in 40 years under your boss, basically. So it's not a good look in the eyes of somebody who understands it on a surface level, I think. We'll see. Everything costs the most it's ever cost. Inflation ran up the highest it ran up. People's wages aren't keeping up. It doesn't look good, so I don't know if people will actually react to that negatively or not. But the main thing that was like, I guess the news of them coming out with some policy now, like saying what they were going to do. Like I said, you're never going to get the details. It just never works out that way. It's a real bummer. We get policy in the sense of like I said, it's surface level. I'm going to fix the economy. And it's like, how, motherfucker? Yeah, you're going to fix it. How? You don't just get to say, I'll make it better. You got to give people, I mean, I guess some people will take that. Me personally, I'm not going to. It's like, that literally means nothing. You could say whatever you want. You could say, I'm going to make everyone in the United States a millionaire. It's like, okay, that sounds really nice, but what the fuck's that mean? And often when they say things like that, it's like how they plan on doing it or how they end up trying to make it accomplish things is actually a huge negative. It's like Inflation Reduction Act. They passed the Inflation Reduction Act and dump a bunch more money into the economy. It's not how that fucking works. If you put more money in the economy, you're going to increase inflation, which we did. So, who knows? Who knows? We'll see. No tax on tips. I'm not going to lie to you. That means nothing to me. And you're probably thinking like, well, don't you know somebody or didn't you? And it's like, yeah, I worked in a pizza shop in high school or whatever, and we got tips. Not a lot of tips. And my wife was a waitress. My mom was a waitress. My aunt. Like, everybody's a fucking waitress at some point. I feel like my mom was a waitress, though, like, in her adult life, like, while we were growing up for a while. Like, that was her job, like, actually. I have multiple family members that do this. It's like, no tax on tips. It's like, yes, great, whatever. Don't tax their tips. I don't know how many people, unless you're working at a big chain restaurant where they have it all set up anyway, are reporting their tips. I'm assuming a lot of people don't report their tips. I don't care. Don't report your tips. Keep your fucking money. What's the government going to do? Squander it anyway. I don't give a shit. So yeah, don't tax the tips. Who cares? The impact of that, whether everything you pay for just becomes a tip, technically, I don't know How they're going to stop that loophole. They're going to have to put some restrictions on that. We'll see. Purely anecdotal, not anecdotal, but no evidence. I literally heard it right before I started this video up. Was technically though, supposedly, caveat, Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote to initiate some sort of law that allowed the IRS to track tips so that they can make sure they're taxing tips. And if that's true, I gotta find it out. I'll tell you tomorrow's video. I'll figure it out. I gotta go look it up. I can't be Googling and driving. I can talk and drive. I can't be Googling and driving. If that's true, it's like, holy shit. The audacity. I mean, we're talking American politics. They're way up there as far as like how willing they are just to lie to your face. These old people don't understand the age of the internet of like, I never said that, and then somebody just plays a video right behind them on the fucking screen of them saying that. So if that is true, and she was the tie-breaking vote, oh my God, man. It's like, dude, especially if that's a thing, you're like, hell yeah, she's no taxes for tips. One, Trump said it first, and then she came out and said it. I'm not against a politician being like, you know what, that's a good idea. I agree with that. We'll both, no matter what, that's happening. But to act like you're doing something special at that point is wild. I don't know what that means. It's like, okay, no tax on tips, great. Will they actually do that? Maybe. Like I said, because it's both sides are like, yeah, we'll get that done. Cool. Lower my fucking taxes, please. I don't want to pay much more. I don't want to pay any more taxes than I already pay anyway. It's enough. Like a quarter of my income just goes to taxes. I've already talked about that on the channel in general, but it doesn't feel good to have somebody take your money from you. And if you're working for a job that is tips, I mean, I don't know. People can make good money off tips. Don't get me wrong. You go work at a nice restaurant and get a lot of money, but if you're like a high schooler that works at Texas Roadhouse, yeah, let them keep their fucking money, man. Obviously, let them get ahead a little bit instead of you taking it off the top, government. But overall on tips, I don't understand. I think in the clip I saw, Kamala Harris was like, no tax on tips, and we're going to raise the minimum wage. And it's like, well, first off, if you raise the minimum wage at these jobs where they don't get paid minimum wage, they get paid tips unless they don't make enough in tips, and then they have to reimburse them up to minimum wage, which isn't good. It's still $8 and whatever, so $7.25 federally, whatever it is. Ohio's might be a little higher than that. If you're making $15 an hour, I'm not gonna lie to you, you're probably not getting tipped, bruh. Like, what's the food gonna cost? Because they're gonna up the price of food, which is fine with me, honestly. If we're gonna go to a system where everybody makes a living wage and you get paid $15 an hour to serve food, and one, the people that get tips are gonna get pissed off because they make more than that getting tips. But if they do that and the food goes up in price, people are not gonna want to tip, me included. I already don't like tipping in general. I think I'm full blown on the, judge me if you want, I'm full blown on the good service, good tip. Bad service, bad tip, maybe even zero tip if it was really shitty. Like if that's the whole point, what are we doing? Because I know, like I said, I know you get reimbursed at least at minimum wage, but like, what are we talking about? Or we've moved so far into this tipping thing where it's like you go pick up, like if I go pick up Chinese food for takeout and they ask me for a tip, it's like, dude, I drove over here and picked it up off the counter. Why am I tipping anything? I'm not tipping you. You didn't do anything. There's no tip. Tip is for service. Good service, good tip. People disagree with that. I love to fight with somebody in the comments about that. I will argue that day and night. I don't give a shit. That's a sidebar. But like I said, people are going to get pissed off. You pass minimum wage increases and the food prices go up and no tax on tips. People aren't going to tip because the food prices are going to go up. And people who are getting tips before, and if they get less tips, are going to be pissed off even if you don't charge taxes on the tips, because now they're making less money than they did. Because, like I said, there's some people that definitely, especially like bartenders and shit, that you go to like a decent restaurant, I mean, people are making 70, 80 grand, 90 grand. Probably nice restaurants. You could push 100 probably as a bartender at like a nice restaurant off tips if you're good at your job and people like you, I guess. Or if you're a pretty chick, I guess you probably lean into that too. Especially if you're pretty, handsome, whatever. If you're a dude, you can probably make good tips at some fucking rich old lady neighborhood or something like that. And you're good at your job, and you got good looks, it's over, bro. You can rake in the tips. Go ahead. But when they start raising the minimum wage on the, like I said, the pizza delivery driver, who, I don't know if it depends what pizza place or where you're at probably, but if you make good money off tips and then they say, well, you're getting paid $15 an hour and now the pizza is doubled in price, and people are like, well, I ain't fucking tipping on $80 worth of pizza when the pizza used to cost $50 or whatever. So we'll see. I don't know how it goes. I mean, that's all up in the air. Like I said, will it actually get done? That one is one of the things that I'm like, that's probably going to get done regardless. I hope it gets done, because I hope, fucking, if you're going to make your money and keep your money. I don't want the government taking your money either. I want to keep my shit. You keep your shit. Leave me out of it. You guys got to let me know what you think, though. Especially on the tips thing. Like I said, hey, Dalton, I'm about to hit the rumble strips again, right? Can't help it. Curves are too steep. Got cones in the middle of the road. But you guys let me know what you think, and I'll catch you tomorrow. See ya.